Hakuo listeners, let's learn sumo. I'm Clayton, welcome to the podcast. We're going to go through the November preview. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast to get the updates, little episodes every week or two on new things about sumo. Today we're going to go through a preview of the November tournament, which starts tomorrow. Today is Saturday the 11th, so Remembrance Day, don't forget that. Let's start by going through who's going to turn up and who's not. Well, so far we know that our Yokozuna, Terunofuji, is out. He is Kyujo for the tournament again. He still troubled with his hip. His stable master basically said he's got no push forward. He can do certain things, but the push forward is affected. It's mainly the floating bit of bone in his hip that's causing him problem. I was earlier this week kind of only rating him 50% chance of seeing out the tournament, even if he started. He did actually go to Kyushu, where this tournament is being held in Fukuoka. And he kind of said, look, I'm serious about it. I'm going to go down and leave it to the last minute. But unfortunately, he just can't make it to the tournament, can't get up for that, still has too much pain. So that's unfortunate. Look, I would think he's going to try very hard for January. I think he's holding on a little bit. He does take Yokozuna very seriously, the rank. He is waiting for one of the other Rashiki to step up and perhaps get promoted. Certainly Takakeisho is the closest at the moment. And he went to the doctor late in the week and was pulled out shortly thereafter. So that's a bit of a shame for this tournament. However, let's move into our Ozekis. Takakeisho, he is on his Yokozuna chase. Now, he won the Basho in September, the Aki Basho, on 11-4. That's, I think it's only the third or fourth time in history that such a low score has actually won the Basho. To be honest, to get himself promoted to Yokozuna, and the first Japanese Yokozuna in a little while, he really needs to win this November Basho. He's not won a back-to-back Basho to press his claims before. So he did win the one in January. He lifted that trophy. I think he is certainly close. He won the one in September, so he's won two this year, but he needs to win a back-to-back. I think his run of injury and the number of times he's been kataban and escaped it, mind you, has been pretty good over the last few years. He's, escaped kataban quite regularly, but that consistency of wins, I think, is what the Yokozuna committee is looking for. Unfortunately, news this week, he has a bit of a neck niggle, which means he was resting before the tournament rather than participating in all the wrestler practice matches going on. He had some pretty good forceful wins in September. He slapped plenty of wrestlers about and generally bullied his way to 11 wins for the tournament trophy. I don't think his path this tournament will be so easy. Kirishima's in better form. Hoshoryu, his two other Ozekis, I think they're going to give him a bit more trouble. Certainly we've got Hokuto Fuji in the first matchup for him. Hokuto Fuji has moved up to Komusubi rank this tournament. Now, if you remember back in September, Hokuto Fuji beat Kirishima, but it required a mono-e and a redo, and he got him by a hatakikomi, so a slap down. And I think Hokuto Fuji to me tends to understand a little bit, and so does Kirishima, that you don't go hard at Takakeisho. You kind of let him come to you, and I think that's pretty much the only way you can get under Takakeisho's skin is let him come to you a little bit. So look, that's not an easy day one match for Takakeisho, Hokuto Fuji, and certainly Kirishima and Hoshoryu are not going to be easy for him either. He does have it over Daisho, although he is Tobizaru's bunny. Tobizaru's got a 4-0 record this year against Takakeisho, and Takakeisho just can't seem to beat him. So that'll be interesting to see where he goes with that one. And I think Kirishima's tactic for Taka works best, and waiting for the battle hamster to come to him. So let's move on. Our Ozeki West, Kirishima. Look, he's probably got a better chance this tournament. He had a pretty confidence-boosting 9-6 to escape Kataban in September. I did hear this morning that he might be coming into this tournament with a little bit of a back niggle. That's a shame. I hope that doesn't affect him in this tournament. I would have otherwise said that he was my pick for the tournament. Maybe if he's got a back issue, I'm not so confident on that now. Certainly, he has the experience, he has the power to take out Takakeisho. He certainly has it to take out Daisho, Kotonowaka, and Wakamoto Haru. Hoshoryu versus Kirishima. Look, I'm really looking forward to if they get matched up this tournament. That will be one of the matches of the tournament. I think Kirishima, to me, has a bit more of the experience. Hoshoryu, certainly the passion. Asanayama, he is, late news for him. He is Kataban for day one. Kyujo for day one. He's out for day one with injury. So he may come back to that, but certainly that is a bit of a shame. So yes, Kirishima will face all of those guys. Look, I'd be very wary for him. He'll be wary of facing Midori Fuji again after his loss in July, where they had if you remember, they had the Mawashi break, and Midori Fuji got it over him in the end, a little bit of a leg trip. It is Kirishima's almost go-to move as well. So he'll be a little bit wary of that. Abe, he needs to watch the Henker, but Abe showed he does have power sumo, and I think that'll be an interesting match. Kotonowaka has the height and the weight, but and certainly the weight advantage, the big pillow over Kirishima, but Kirishima is quite crafty. Kotonowaka tried an arm bar, I think it was back in July, and Kirishima just got in a better position. He knew it was coming and pushed him out first. So, look, day one, Kirishima faces Ura, our smiling, baby-faced acrobat. I think Kirishima has a bit too much experience and power for Ura, but Ura is very mobile. I'd expect double twisting acrobatic pike drop to finish the match, though, from Ura. I mean, it's what he does. Seriously, look, Ura will test Kirishima on day one, but I think that's a Kirishima win there. Hoshoryu, he is still on the west side of Ozeki. He escaped going Kataban by the skin of his teeth in September on his debut tournament. On the last day, got himself an 8-7 win, won the last 6 or 7 matches in a row. Really needs a better start than 3 wins from 9 days. He hasn't faced Takakeisho since January, and his technique and confidence has grown since then. So he's got some power sumo in him. He's, as evidenced by his win over Asanayama in September, he won't want to let Takakeisho's weight dominate. He'll probably want to make Takakeisho move a bit laterally. I don't know that he wants to get into a grip battle and go for leg trips that he does. I don't think they'll work on the battle hamster. He's a bit too short and stout for that. I think Hoshoryu is better to use momentum changes, and that seems to work on Takakeisho, is those momentum changes and trying to use his weight against him. That's pretty much where Hoshoryu needs to go. But his experience and power has come along since the last time he's faced him. Wakamoto Haru, look, Hoshoryu doesn't mind a grip fest, so that'll be a test of Hoshoryu's. Probably the best way I can put it is a multi-technique versus a very defined grip sumo like Wakamoto Haru. Day one, Hoshoryu faces the silky-haired Shodai, former Ozeki. This won't be an easy beat for Wakamoto Haru, and he's lost to Shodai previously. Shodai's shown he can get to Ozeki, even though he lost it. I expect our newest Ozeki, Hoshoryu, to be in a better form. Sorry, did I say Wakamoto Haru? I meant Hoshoryu. I expect our Ozeki to be in a better form and apply his skill, and I would probably give Hoshoryu that win over Shodai. Daisho, he's got a bit of he is currently leading the Sekiwake and Ozeki in terms of wins for the year. I think he's on about 55 wins. I think he leads Kirishima and Hoshoryu by a couple of wins each. So Daisho, he's looking still on his Ozeki run. I think his last 2 tournaments, he's looking probably for about 13 or 14 wins if he really wanted to make it out of to get himself promoted to Ozeki. Certainly he'll have a good test. He's certainly very consistent this year, punching out 10s and 9s and 10s all year. I expect Kirishima and Hoshoryu to win both of the bouts, but I think if anyone, Daisho was going to bring an upset to anyone, I would say it's probably going to be Hoshoryu. Wakamoto Haru versus Daisho. Look, Wakamoto Haru, Daisho, if he executes well, it's almost impossible to stop his Sapari thrusting. Those flailing arms might be a bit too much for Wakamoto Haru, but his only real chance is to get in hard and get a grip on him. When he fights Hokuto Fuji, Daisho, that'll be an interesting bout. Hokuto Fuji, he's got more go forward and he seems to be able to absorb more this as he goes along. He's got a bit more balance in how he moves. Day one, Daisho will face Meisei. Look, I think this should be an easier win for Daisho, the super thruster. I just, after watching all of Meisei's bouts back from September and earlier, I just don't think he's quite got the technique and balance to defend that sort of attack. So Daisho won't face Tobizaru, Endo or Tsurugishu because they are from the same stable, Oitakaze stable. So the only way he'll face them is if it's in a battle at the end for a playoff. Let's move on to our other Sekiwake, Wakamoto Haru. We think his Ozeki run is pretty much done now. He's back to square one. He's going to have to get himself 33 wins over 3 tournaments. So he's got some work to do there. How does he beat Kirishima? Well, I think he needs execution luck and getting a good grip early and not losing it. He's another to face up to Takakeisho. How he executes that will be a test. As a really, preferred right-hand outside gripper, I don't think he's got the bulk to unseat Takakeisho. Like I said, I don't think the leg trips work on him. I don't think he's got the bulk to try for like an Watanage throw or things like that. That'll be a bit of a test for Wakamoto Haru as to how he deals with that. Daisho, the Sapari thrusting, look, they're very different styles. A gripper versus a go-forward thruster. Kotonowaka, grip and leg trips are a good option there, but I think he needs to avoid getting lifted by the bulk of the big pillow again. We'll see how he maybe this time he got lifted last time, so he may want to go a little bit harder to stop Kotonowaka and finish it off a bit earlier. So not an easy run for Wakamoto Haru, and he's had a little bit of that inconsistency of late. Day one, Wakamoto Haru faces Takayasu the Bear. Takayasu's in a bit of dangerous form, and he's got a lot of go forward, and he can pretty much steamroll Wakamoto Haru. That'll be a test for Waka against that bulk and form at the moment. Kotonowaka, he finished on a good 9-6 in September, so all the Sekiwake have pretty much been on a really good run this year. No one's really dropped out of Sekiwake. They've all either gone up like Hoshoryu and Kirishima, and Kotonowaka has joined them. So he's got a bit of a test this time, and 9-6 was pretty good. The bulk is a good winner, but Hokuto Fuji won't be out-bulked by him. Ura is fast as is Tobizaru, so that'll be interesting to see where he goes. Day one, Kotonowaka faces Tobizaru, who's fast, mobile, agile, versus a big, soft, squishy pillow of Kotonowaka. I think if Kotonowaka can grab onto Tobizaru's in deep trouble. Kotonowaka won't face Kotoeko because they're both from stable Sadogatake. Hokuto Fuji, our new Komusubi on the west side. Look out for his big focus performance before he starts. He looks very pained when he's getting into his focus mood. That, like we said, day one, he's on Takakeisho, and bulk won't be a problem, and he can absorb the sort of punishment that Takakeisho throws out at him. As I said, Hokuto Fuji, look, he was really unlucky not to take the Basho back earlier this year. I think he learned a lot from that, and there's a bit more experience. And the big Saitama man, I think he's still going to be a good chance of getting himself up towards the end of the tournament for at least being in contention, if not the win. So that should be interesting. Abi, our Henka King, 9-6 in September. He got some good wins against the Ozeki, Sekiwake, and Hayam Magashira, and he's kind of looking to get back up with a bit more consistency. Those Henkas, everyone complains about the Henka or where they dodge at the touchy eye. Look, they don't help his fan base or his reputation, but, it is in the rules. It's been in the rules for decades. The Japan Sumo Association never changed it, so they do see it as a legitimate thing. And he has beaten most of the Rashiki he'll face. So, if he can put it together, he can have a strong tournament. His pure sumo win over Daesho by a thrusting battle kind of showed that he is capable of that. In September, I think he won that match, and it was just a pure sumo win there. Day one, he is facing Gonoyama, the Henka King, versus some real power sumo there. Arby is capable of matching that power, so that'll be an interesting matchup on day one. Asanayama, 9-6 in September. He was a little bit disappointing there. We didn't see him figuring in the Basho outcome. He did face the power of all the Ozeki and Sekiwake. He's capable of beating a few of them. He needs a better start to the tournament from his 2 wins in 6 days in September. Magashira 1 East won't be an easy run for him, so he will face all of the ranked people. But we did hear yesterday that he is Kyujo for day one at least. Now, the story there is he actually separated, I think, his calf muscle from the bone or something similar to that. So it's a fairly reasonable sort of calf injury. He hasn't trained at all for this, so I don't expect him to figure too highly in this tournament if he comes back at all. So it'd be one to watch maybe day 3 or 4 if he comes back. I think he'll know maybe a little bit later in the tournament. Ura, like we said, he's facing Kirishima day one, the smiling acrobat, the babyface. Good 9-6 after a series of 7-8s with a couple of unlucky losses in September. As I keep saying, he needs to work on his technique to avoid going shinatai or dead body as he bounces backwards to avoid wrestlers falling forward. So a little bit more stability and balance, and coming up with a better technique to drag his foot across the bales as his opponent goes down. I think he's lost a couple of times to that. We talked about Shodai, Mr. Silky Hair. If you haven't seen that photo on Twitter, have a look for that. It was his birthday last week, and someone had taken a photo of him with his hair out, and it was the most gorgeous, silky, long, black hair, straight hair that you've ever seen. So, look, he made his Kachikoshi in September, 8-7. He has dropped out of Komusubi after a couple of 6 and 9s, left him Magashira 3. So his Kachikoshi gets him back up to 1 spot to Magashira 2. He has beaten a few of these before, and he's beaten Hoshoryu before, certainly, and that's who he's facing on day one. Meisei, Magashira 2 West. Look, a disappointing 7 and 8 drops in 1 rank to Magashira 2 from Magashira 1 in September. He got pretty much beaten by all of the Senyaku except Daesho. May and July weren't much better for him. I look at his matches and I think, is this the highest level he can reach? He hasn't had double-digit wins since 2021. He got one of those wins last tournament by Daesho by a henker on the first match when Daesho dropped his head at the tachi-eye and headed in and just didn't see him move to the side. So I think Daesho learned a little bit from that one. Takayasu, the bear, the big hairy bear, Magashira 3, 10-5 in September for the big bear after a fairly disappointing July tournament. Look, he only really faced Daesho and Kirishima in the ranked wrestlers and pretty much steamrolled all the Magashira before him otherwise. He's had a bit of injury recovery, that's helped him. He was kind of in the running of the Basho at the end and he just got pipped at the end. He'll face some stiff competition there. I look forward to Takayasu and Takakeisho match if they match up. 2 big, strong men. If they put them together, I would look out for that match. Tobizaru, our flying monkey, Magashira 3 West. He got a few good wins in September, but he ended up with a pretty dismal 6 and 9. He did beat Hoshoryu, Kotonowaka and Takakeisho, but his feet just got stuck at times. He didn't seem to have the mobility. He got denied the grips he was looking for, and he just got beaten by a little bit better sumo on the day. Like I said, he's got it all over Takakeisho with 4 wins from the last 4 meetings, and let's see if he can keep that going. I think execution and perhaps his little bit of skittishness. What I mean by skittishness is the way he moves his feet and how fast he moves. I think he needs to maybe settle just a fraction. Nishikigi, Magashira 4 West. Look, He'll want to get his form going again after a pretty poor September, 5-10. That's pretty dismal after the earlier this year. He's had a good run, and it seems to have all fallen apart for him. I just don't know how you beat both of Zeki's Kirishima and Hoshoryu and Asanayama and then fall to everyone else. One win after day 7 shows how badly the back end of the tournament went for him. Day 1, Nishikigi and Onosho. It's hard to choose who's going to win this one. I think this is going to be a matter of who turns up on day 1. Nishikigi in poor form, but will he come back rested and a bit more motivated? Onosho, he's up another rank or so he got a 9-6 in September. He's up 1 spot. Let's see who turns up on the day there. Midori Fuji, Magashira 5 West, our little Shizuoka wrestler. He come back from some pretty dismal run in May, July for a 10-5 in the last tournament. He'll probably, I can see him facing Takakeisho this tournament. Hasn't faced him for a few months, and that won't be one to miss. If they put him up against Takakeisho after the January Slapfest, that was Takakeisho and Midori Fuji. I still have that bout back in January as one of my top 3 fights of the year. Like I said, if they fight, that is one to not miss. If you want to go and see that one, go back and look for Midori Fuji versus Takakeisho in the January 2023 tournament on the Grand Sumo app or where you can find your replays. That's one to watch. Midori Fuji, after September, what I liked about that was he has got his form back. He's gone back to the things that made him win and made him successful before. And all the wrestlers know what he does. He goes for the big double-handed underarm grip, a bit of a leg trip, a bit of a throw, and they all went over. They all knew it was coming towards the end of the tournament. They could all see what he was doing, but none of them could do anything about it. So it was very interesting to watch a little wrestler take out some of these really big, tall guys. He was reaching up quite a long way, but they just couldn't stop it coming. So I'll be interested to see if they go back and watch those replays from September and how they deal with that. Anyway, Midori Fuji and Shona Nanumi on day 1. He's only really faced Midori Fuji once in the September tournament where Midori Fuji just outmaneuvered him fairly quickly and Shona Nanumi fell on his face. So they haven't really faced each other a lot other than that this year. Not really a slipper-toshi, not really a slipper-toshi by Shona Nanumi, it was a failed attempt to grab Midori Fuji, and he kind of overbalanced, brought about by a pretty fast opponent in Midori Fuji. So I'll give that to Midori Fuji on form rather than a slip by Shona Nanumi. I would think Midori Fuji on form will probably get this one, but he doesn't want to get caught in a grip battle with Shona Nanumi. So down further, we won't go through everybody bit by bit, but I would think Hokuseiho versus Takanosho. I would probably give this to our one-arm bandit, Hokuseiho. He's on the rise up. Endo versus Kinbozan. Kinbozan's in pretty good form. He's much bigger. Endo's got his technique back a little bit, his mobility and balance a bit. That might depend on who executes best there. Miyagiryu and Atami Fuji. I think Atami Fuji for me will get that one. Won by Kotanage in September against Miyagiryu. Ryuden and Mitakayumi. Mitakayumi's coming off 9-6. Ryuden off a 6-9. I think Mitakayumi's probably got that one. Other matches to watch for on day 1, Kota Eko and Sadanumi, only because I like Kota Eko and his big, massive shoulders, and he's a real trier. I never miss a Kota Eko fight. They're always worth watching. We've got some debutantes this tournament from Juryo. Tomokaze, Ichiyamamoto, Tohaka Kuryu, Churananumi, Roga, and Kitanowaka. Kitanowaka and Ichiyamamoto are returners. Tomokaze, Tohaka Kuryu, Churananumi, and Roga are new. From what I can gather, Tohaka Kuryu is a bit of a divisive sort of wrestler. He's very much likes to pull his opponents. Hitaki Komi slapdowns are about 30% of his wins. And I think that's probably, I wouldn't say it's a Henker style, but it's certainly that gets him there. I don't know that that's going to win for him in the upper tournament. Roga, he's basically, they talk about him being a Russian. He actually comes from Mongolia, I think, and he chose Russia. Must be a bit of a half and half there. Big man, he got his Kachikoshi 8 and 7. Let's see how he goes. Tomokaze and Chiranumi, both very good wrestlers in their school days. They've made their way up. I would think that Tohaka Kuryu probably won't stay up here for long. I would think that Tomokaze and maybe... look, they've all got a good chance, but let's see where they go. Kita Nowaka, I think he's coming back up. He does have a really good coach. I think he is a good chance to stay up this time. I think injury blew a knee or something last time and sent him back down. The man who's in deep, deep trouble, Nishiki Fuji. He's dropped down to Magashira 16 West, 5 and 10 in September, 5 and 10 in July, 3 and 12 in May. His last good result was a 10 and 5 in March, before a 4 and 11 in January. Something's not working for Nishiki Fuji. What I did find out this week, he's just got married. He's got twins. I think that's pretty much affects most sumo when they get married and have kids, and it does tend to take away some of their time to focus on sumo. So that might be a little bit of explanation there. I would hope that he gets himself back together there. So that is the November preview and day one. Look, I hope you really enjoy your sumo tournament. This should be a really interesting basho. Hopefully we've got some healthy sekiwake and ozeki to battle it out. There's some really good wrestlers in that top rank area, and to be honest, any of those sekiwake and ozeki can do the job and win the tournament. Who do I think is going to win? I would think a healthy Takakeisho if he doesn't have too bad of a neck injury, or Kirishima if he doesn't have too much of a back injury. They are probably, both of those guys are likely to come out with a 13-14 win. If they're both injured, I would perhaps look at Hoshoryu or Daisho. If those two guys are carrying injuries, I would think that Daisho, his consistency might get him there. Hoshoryu, he is a class wrestler, and he's certainly shown that by making it to Ozeki. So enjoy the tournament. I'll be watching every day and enjoying it, and I'll come back and I'll talk to you maybe after day 2 or 3. We'll talk about how the first few days went. Hakioi listeners, enjoy your sumo.